Hi, everybody. Good evening and welcome to EduTALK. EduTALK is a virtual talk show and it's created out of the need for a global learning community. And we focus on topics that directly impact our people right across the globe educationally. And this week, we're sharing with you some of our views on Thanksgiving, giving thanks for a lot of things. And in North America, Thanksgiving is North America, meaning the continent of North America. Thanksgiving actually celebrated in America and Canada, and some of the things that we want to talk about. So here are some facts here about Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving is a North American festival. It's a harvest festival celebrated on the fourth Thursday of November in the United States. In the United States, but in Canada, it's celebrated in October, primarily focused on gratitude and gathering of loved ones. Its origin dates back to the 1600s, 1621, where as the pilgrims coming in, pilgrims from Europe, they celebrated with the Wampanoag people, which is the original people of this land, and so it evolved into this secular holiday that marked by large meals and parades and football in America, of course, while also being viewed by the indigenous people of the land as a day of mourning due to the history of colonization of this place in America. And so it goes way back with the tradition. So there are core traditions to this in modern celebrations, such as gratitude, gathering, parades, and football, and community service. One of the things that we would want to highlight is the different perspectives of National Day of Mourning for the Native people for Thanksgiving. So we're going to look at the two perspectives here. So for many Native people, and I say Native, indigenous people, Thanksgiving is a day of mourning and protest. It is a time to remember the violence, oppression, and genocide that followed European colonization and to honor the resilience of the indigenous people. So some indigenous people and their allies observe the Thanksgiving as a national day of mourning. So on the one side, we have Thanksgiving looking at celebrating with festivity and feast and so on. And on the other hand, we have the day of mourning for the native people. We want to welcome our guest. We have with us here Dr. Judy Villeneuve-Dyce. He is the co-founder and CFO of Education Solutions International, and also Dr. Noel Gordon, who is the Chief Academic Officer of Education Solutions International, ESI, and of course, your host here. Welcome, everybody. Judy, how are you feeling? Giving thanks.
I'm feeling very good, and I'm grateful to you to have raised both issues, the celebratory side as well as the side of reflection and really realization of our country's past. I'm looking forward to this conversation. I was raised in the United States, so I am conflicted around this holiday. I love Thanksgiving. I've always enjoyed Thanksgiving, but it's been from a place of opportunity to share with family and to eat delicious food that everybody contributes. This particular Thanksgiving is especially close to me and sensitive in a sense because I lost my father and my uncle this year. And so it's the first year to not have them at a time where you associate it with family gatherings. So I'm looking forward to chatting about what this means because I do have friends that are Native American and I understand that plight as well. So thank you for having me.
Yeah. Dr. Gordon, thank you so much. Um, how growing up in Jamaica, we grew up in the same parish, St. Anne, Bob Marley's place and the Marcus Garvey place
Yes.
as well. and you're making a total difference in the diaspora. When you came to the U.S., how did you, based on your views of Thanksgiving?
When I came to the United States of America, I was only I was only exposed to the good side of Thanksgiving. Oh, it's a time when you come together and you celebrate the wonderful blessings that you are experiencing. But then, as I dug deeper, and we should never take things at face value, and just as how as Dr. Dye said earlier, she was torn. I wasn't torn because I thought it was all good. But when I studied the history and see that what was great for one group of people was horrible for another group of people, understanding that their lands were taken from them, and this group came here, these immigrants came here, and they displaced them, and they were celebrating, but then the history of the other generation was lost. And this is a part of the dichotomy of life, you know. So as we celebrate, you know, Thanksgiving this year, it lands at a time when the world feels heavy from global conflict to economic strain to people simply feeling worn down. But that weight also makes the holiday more meaningful. It's a moment to pause, to reconnect, and remember what strengthens us: gratitude, community, and the traditions that remind us who we are.
Yes, yes. Well set up, yes. So let's take the happy and the gratitude part of it first. Let's talk about the food. Because I remembered when I first encountered Thanksgiving, I said, what is this? You know, because growing up in Jamaica, Thanksgiving used to be every Sunday when you get a nice plate of food and the food is good. And you have rice and peas and chicken or curried goat or soup you have with your food. You got carrot juice or beetroot juice, and it's nice. It's very nice. And then everybody gather, or maybe neighbors and family will come over, and the kids will play together while the big folks, they go off and they talk about their business. They talk about, in our farming community, they talk about different plants and farming and animals that they're rearing and so on. So I was wondering, why on earth would you set aside 1 day per year, an entire year, to giving thanks when I am actually giving thanks every Sunday? We gather as a family and a community every Sunday. So that's kind of weird for me the first time I saw it. But I realized, oh, Americans are all over the place where as it relates to family. So it's a time when everybody made the decision to come back together and stay at least once a year to talk about some things as nice as politics, religion, and families who maybe have a new child. They can introduce a new little kid to the grandparents and so on. Judy, what's your take on the happy side of Thanksgiving, where you get to, you say you love the food. So in my case, a turkey would be like a chicken, you know?
Well, I mean, we're all Jamaicans on here. The fact is that it was always Thanksgiving always had Jamaican food at the table, right? We had our traditional or the American tradition of having turkey and cranberry sauce and sweet potatoes, things like that are obviously staples when it comes to Thanksgiving. And usually, what we would do is people who could cook that kind of food would cook it, or we would just cater it, right? We'd have go to a really fancy grocery store, order it, and have it delivered all pretty and done up. And then we would just have to contribute the Jamaican side of the food, because typically at least at my table, the Jamaican relatives really don't like turkey. they prefer the Jamaican food. But growing up in the U.S. and being given turkey at school before Thanksgiving and all the different things that they incorporate, right? Growing up here in elementary school, you're introduced to that food very early on. And you did develop a taste and a love for it. But typical to Jamaicans, they work really hard, and they work especially hard when they come to the US. So this idea that coming together it ends up being more rare than you would like, right? We end up focusing on coming together as a family, again, as you said, from across the country and across the world, making a decision to come together for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Those are the two periods of time where we take the time to actually see one another. So many of us who grew up in Jamaica unlike me, I hear that, they get this opportunity, and it's an opportunity I'm sure that they miss when they leave, having that luxury of being able to see family. But we're all trying to make it, right? And we're all determined to do so. So that does separate us. So it's especially special, when we finally do get together and sit and relax and play games and go for walks. And in this particular
Yes.
Thanksgiving, we plan to play pickleball like crazy,
Yes.
but at the same time, we're also mourning the loss of relatives as we grow up, as we age. You have children that are born, and it's wonderful, but we're also losing some real stalwarts in our family as well. So it's going to be a time to be grateful for having had them in our lives, being grateful for what they provided us with, because it's on their shoulders on which we stand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the being grateful to who we are and what we've been able to do to carry on those traditions for the younger ones that are coming up,
Mm-hmm.
because now we're becoming the old people. And so,
Speak for
maintaining.
yourself. Dr.
Speak for
Gardner and I will
myself.
remain
Okay, I'll
young.
just speak for me. So as we take on that mantle, right, and create this solemn place for us to come together, it becomes especially important for the younger ones that are coming up, because there's too many opportunities to lose that family connection in this society, getting too
Yeah,
caught
yeah.
up in all of the hustle and bustle of trying to make it. We do really need to have those deep conversations and passing that time to show each other how much we love each other, and to
Yeah,
build on the love that we have for each other, and to
yeah.
maintain it, and to really be able to focus on what is important. Because outside of our family, who cares about us? You really
Mm-hmm.
need family to really know what love is and to feel what support feels like. That gives you the confidence to go out and take on the world. So those are
Yeah.
the reasons why I
Right,
love
right.
Thanksgiving.
So, Dr. Gordon, what about you? Did you feel like what I felt like with this Sunday Thanksgiving feels?
It's amazing. As you said, we're from the same neck of the wood. We're from the St. Anne Hills, Bob Morley
Yeah.
country. So Sunday, every Sunday was Thanksgiving. Rice and peas, you break that coconut, you
Yes.
coconut milk in the red peas, you have to shell the peas, and then you smell that thing from a mile away. And
Oh,
beef,
yes.
beef in the Dutch pot, they brown
Yes.
the Dutch pot, or it was pork, and it was rarely chicken. Chicken become popular later on in life. You kill the cock during Christmas time. You know all about that. But
Yeah.
anyway, but we used to come together and have this wonderful Sunday meal. So we had Thanksgiving every Sunday. But coming to the United States of America, I don't understand that life becomes very difficult. It's very difficult for families to get together as frequently, especially when you're an immigrant and you have to hustle to get through life. But we always look forward to Thanksgiving. And at Thanksgiving time, I was the main cook. We used to cook this huge turkey every Thanksgiving until after a while, nobody liked turkey anymore. Till we went to turkey parts, till we totally eliminate turkey from the Thanksgiving meal. Till as my children got older, my children would say, okay, let's not bother with the Thanksgiving tradition. I missed it, but after a while, we say, let's go out to eat. So that wasn't really our focus after a while. But talking about gratitude, with so much happening in the world as we're approaching Thanksgiving, the conflicts, economic pressures, and communities feeling stretched, Thanksgiving becomes less of a perfect table to more of about finding something steady to hold on to. Gratitude doesn't erase hardship. We can after your life for a few years, you realize that gratitude doesn't delay or erase hardship, but it anchors us.
Yes.
It's a moment to pause and recognize the people and small moments that carry us through. Because as Dr. Dyce said earlier, our family that's what's important. At the end of the day, your family, we have to focus on our family and the family members by birth and also the family members by strength. And we should really seek to create a community, because in a year where many people feel so isolated and overwhelmed, Thanksgiving is a reminder that community still matters. Can I say that again?
Yeah.
Community still matters, whether it's your family, your close relatives, or even your neighbors coming together. The act of gathering reminds us that resilience grows in groups and not in isolation. Let's mention very quickly. as we have the Hurricane Melissa in Jamaica, and I am so mesmerized by the fact that people are coming together and helping out strangers and supporting and encouraging. That's what really Thanksgiving is all about. It's not just a ritual, but just coming together and appreciating one another.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Totally agree. And then the other part of it is that we don't have to wait until Thanksgiving to start showing love and appreciation for each other, because that time, the time gap that we have between the rest of the year and that
Yeah.
day is we have time during that time to call up somebody and say, hey, I'm thinking about you, or here is this thing that can help you, because I know you could do well with this particular thing. And it doesn't have to be money, it could be time, spending time talking to each other on the phone, jumping on Zoom and making a Zoom call and say, I'm spending half an hour with you, I'm spending 15 minutes with you, undivided time just to talk to you. What about the educational aspect of it? Because I like to go to the education part of it to talk about our students, because we realize that family values are lacking, and it's becoming a serious problem in our community, where the younger people believe that once they have their cell phones, they're good. They don't have to get anything from their family unless they need them. So gratitude is going out the door. Literally, gratitude is a thing of the past with these young people. Majority of them, not all of them, majority of them. What are some of the ways in which we can still sustain and or build or develop gratitude among our people? Judy, you want to go first?
Yes, I mean, honestly, it takes a great deal of effort. It takes effort because we're in a time where we have so many competing they have so many competing interests, right? They spend a lot more time on their devices and with their at school that they are with their family, especially with their parents, especially if their parents are working people. So every moment that you have an opportunity to spend with them is much more valuable. It's much more important. It has to be uh, substantive in that interaction, not to wavering in any way. So that means when you are communicating with these young people, it has to be concentrated and clear that these are values that you want to maintain, not verbally, but by demonstrating it in your behavior. So if you prioritize these values, if you prioritize community, being with family, then you have to insist that they participate. They will eventually understand, and they might, come a little screaming and kicking a little bit. But the fact is these will be the memories that take them through into their adulthood. These are going to be the ones that they reflect on and they value and they look back on fondly. And it's in these relationships that they're building, they can appreciate the generation before them, their own generation, and the younger ones. I know my daughter in particular, she has a little cousin that is about a little under 2 years old. And I was amazed to see how much she took to him and how she nurtured him and played with him. And I know that I could see that it felt good to her. And that simple act of love and exchange, it was wonderful to see, but it's something that she's going to remember forever. And it's going to show her as she grows up that she's experienced that level of sensitivity and love for a relative, and she's going to appreciate when he grows up because she will have known him as a child. So these simple things that we had taken for granted in our generation, thinking, oh man, there are too many kids around, or so they're so noisy as they're running back and forth and eating and playing and all the things that we experienced. It's now that we can say, oh my God, I'm so grateful and lucky to have had that. Because now we don't see those kids as often. We're not in environments and opportunities where we see them. So we look forward to when that can actually happen. So I think that it has to be intentional. That's the answer to your question. And intentionality around ensuring that we pass along by example this tradition of insisting on we being together as a family. And it doesn't have to be by Thanksgiving. It could be a number of ways that we can create that as a culture in our families. But Thanksgiving happens to be, the one that they give us time off for. So that's the one that we can take advantage of,
Definitely.
at least right now. But yes, we can't give up on our families. We can't give up on the young people coming up after us. We must keep them connected to family and understanding, because what is out there for them, what is trying to get their attention, the kids that are being conditioned to think that medication or smoking and drugs are an option, purchasing and this or even gambling online. There's so many things trying to draw their attention to their detriment that we have to be even more vigilant to keep them on track. And this is the one way to do it, is keep them committed to family.
Yeah. Dr. Gordon, what do you think about it with the values?
With so many families facing challenges, giving back is a part of what defines the holiday. And not just Thanksgiving, that's one day holiday that they gave us off, but giving back defines Thanksgiving, food banks, shelters, local organizations. And Thanksgiving is a chance to turn gratitude or giving thanks. Let me not just confine it to the one holiday. It's a chance to turn gratitude into action, volunteering, donating, or simply checking in on someone who may be spending the holiday alone. There are lots of lonely people in our society. Believe it or not, many people are lonely. Life feels louder than ever. Constant news cycles, digital overwhelmment, and the pressures to stay on all the time,
Yes.
Stay
Yes.
on. Thanksgiving offers a rare cultural permission to slow down, to sit, to eat, to talk, to rest. And that slowness is not laziness, it's healing. So as conversations around identity, and you referenced this earlier, and conversations around identity and history continue, more people are acknowledging Thanksgiving complicated origins. You alluded to that at the outset. For many indigenous families, as you said, it's a day of mourning, and recognizing this does not take away from anyone's celebration. It deepens it. When you have awareness, it deepens your appreciation. Okay? It invites us to celebrate with awareness, to celebrate with respect and a full appreciation for the land and communities that came before us. And as Dr. Dyce said earlier, family, those occasions when you're able to come together and celebrate. My daughter is in her 30s, and she stayed in touch with every one of her family members in Jamaica. She came here at 2 years old. And we are just talking earlier this morning, and said, Dad, I want to go to Jamaica for the Christmas. I don't know if I'm able to go, but if I don't get to go, I just want to make sure I stay in touch with everybody. And that's what it's all about. Taking care of your loved ones. And she also mentioned family members by choice. That's why I stole her thought earlier on. She said that there are some people in her life that they may not be family genetically, but they have become a part of her life. Yeah. So let us, as we go forward, and we tell our children that these relationships, they matter more than your money, they matter more than your cars, they matter more than your big houses.
Yeah. So let's have like 30 seconds each to summarize. Not to summarize, but on the other side of it, where we look at indigenous people and the history behind this. What are some of the things, just really quickly, some of the things that we could put in place in our own way to acknowledge the violence, the genocide, the horrible things, the colonization that these indigenous people have gone through, just to acknowledge that this thing happened in the past. Some of the things that we can do as a people. Judy, 30 seconds, and then Dr. Gordon.
Well, celebrating and valuing family is not mutually exclusive from being cognizant and aware and educated on the difficult things that happened in this country. And those difficult things happen to people everywhere, and definitely different people here in the United States. And I think that personally, I'm going to do a shout out to my friends in Bemidji, Minnesota, some indigenous Native American people that I met out there, wonderful people who are very conscious of the fact that they need to preserve their culture, and they're making every effort to do so. It's very difficult, again, for the same reasons I mentioned earlier. But knowing these people personally, I have such a love for them, and I identify them with them as a person of color. Having just be a first generation American, I do identify with the struggle of the African Americans that have been here, because they don't know us different in this country. So the residual effect of being a person of color is something that you have to experience on a pretty regular basis living in the United States. And then my Japanese friends, and if people don't know, but they were actually put on reservations and concentration camps during the World Wars and things like that. There's so many people who have suffered that we need as a culture to be aware of in our own education. And it's in these times where we have time to be with each other that we need to have these discussions and never leave out the challenges that our Native American brothers and sisters have also experienced. They're all our family. They're our American family.
Right, right. Very good. Well said. Dr. Gordon, 30 seconds.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to work on that. Listen, we are oftentimes pushed into a corner where we are supposed to feel guilty when we talk about our history, when we talk about the negative things that happened to us in life. If I taught history in school, and I didn't focus a lot on the indigenous people. We focused about the explorers, and they came and they changed the world. But we have to remind our youngsters. We have to talk about it, because you're reading right now. Social media gives you access to all kinds of history. So we have to talk about the traditions, whether it's a recipe, a football game, what happened back there. Talk about the movies when the Indian always get killed. You remember those movies? The Indian always end up dying. To change that kind of mentality, tell old family stories about the great heroes that we had back in the day. You know, remind them of the joys, and even the difficult things about tradition. Talk about it. And celebrate the good things at a time when the world feels divided. Thanksgiving gives us a rare chance to reconnect with ourselves, with our culture, with each other, and with the things that bring us hope. Most of all, the things that bring us hope. And that's something the world should celebrate. We have had some bad times, and we should not let anyone make us feel guilty about talking about the difficulties that we have been through. But look where we are today. We have some strong indigenous people. We have some strong Black people. We have some strong people who have had major issues happening in their lives, but they are standing today, and we can be found in every corner of the earth, in every echelon of society. And we need to celebrate all of that as we talk about the bad things that have happened to us in the past, and give thanks.
And give thanks, yes, because not every road is straight and smooth. So we need to give thanks while we acknowledge the other parts of our lives. Thank you so much, everybody. Wishing everybody a very, very happy Thanksgiving, and remember to acknowledge how far we have come and why we have come this far, based on our path, the path that lies behind us. If you want to reach out to us at edusolutionsintl@gmail.com, that's edusolutionsintl@gmail.com. You can also visit our website at edusolutionsintl.org. That's edusolutionsintl.org. And for the email is edusolutionsintl@gmail.com. Now, you can write to us, reach out to us, check out our website, and we will see you next week with another edition of EduTALK. Well, good everybody, and subscribe also to our YouTube channel. Take care. Bye-bye.